I'm assuming all of you have seen the exhibition It's Time to See to Be Seen. Please give me a yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So this conversation is actually like a direct response to this exhibition. I have two artists with me today. On my right, I have Cooke, who's one of the German artists we've invited for this edition. And she has, in the piece we are showing here, of course you've done other work, but the piece we are showing here, she's reacting to the fact that there are female artists who explicitly voice that you cannot be a woman and a mother, an artist and a mother at the same time. One of these artists is Marina Abramovic. And you have responded to her, and we're going to talk about this. And on my other side, I have Anita Ratnam, where I'm sure she probably doesn't need an introduction to the Chennai audience. I'm still going to give you a few informations. She's a dancer, choreographer, performer, producer, speaker, mentor, and the pioneer of Neo-Bharatanatyam.
Neo-Bharatam, yeah, Bharatam.
I'm not going to try that.
Don't try it.
But
it's fine.
You have heard the pioneer of it, which I think it's an interesting point as well, because we have a lot of the father of electricity, the father of expressionism.
Not
so
the mother
do
of.
we want to speak of the mother of? That's
mother of, yeah.
To be
Okay.
had. Both, as you've already gathered from this introduction, are from very different backgrounds, united by the fact that they are both mothers and artists,
yes,
and have experienced the challenges that come with this specific combination. Full disclosure in the beginning, I am neither an artist nor a mother. I'm kind of the neutral ground in between, so please, hands on. And also I realized when looking at some pictures that I wanted to share with you, even after almost 10 years in India, my reference frame is still very European. So sorry for that. If you have better examples from the Indian context, please do share them. We'd be happy to include them. So before we start the conversation, which is going to be on basically two themes, one is the depiction or the performance of mother figures, and the other one is really what does it mean to be a working artist and the mother. So the technicalities and how is it shown in the artwork. But before we get into it, warming up question. What is the one cliche about motherhood that you hate and you would like to set straight now? Whoever.
I guess I said everything with my artwork, which is shown in the exhibition. I'm sorry.
no, that doesn't count.
Okay. I think like this stay-at-home mom theme is like the most cliche thing to think, that when you have children, you have to stay at home and take care of the children. But yeah, so I would forward.
For me, it's statements like, you're going to be a mother-in-law and maybe a grandmother soon, so stop trying to start new ventures.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah. Don't start anything now. You've done enough.
Okay, that's one more unwanted advice that women get throughout their careers. Wonderful. So I thought if we start this topic, we actually start at the beginning, which at least in the Christian context would be Mother Mary and the child, the most common depiction of motherhood. I have chosen, but that's just because I'm from nearby Cologne, that's why I've chosen Stefan Lochner with
beautiful,
this specific work. Hannah, in your work, you have actually chosen to do that pose, the famous Mother Mary with child. Do you think audiences still recognize this as a reference?
I guess so. At least in Germany, I can experience that a lot of feminist artists encounter me and ask me, why do you depict yourself as the Mother Mary? And I didn't really want it to be like Mother Mary sitting there holding my baby, but somehow when you have a baby and you're nursing, that's the way it looks. And when you're like sitting straight and have a bit, like a special type of composition, that's the image, and it's a very strong image, and it's recognizable. So I wanted to have this pose, a very serene and sound, striking pose. So that's why I decided to have the same position maybe as Mother Mary. My second name is Maria, by the way. But yeah, so of course the Christian iconographic pictures still stick with me, and somehow are so incoherent with me that it was close to set myself that way.
I was actually wondering, is there a dance pose that symbolizes motherhood?
Well, before I answer that, I wanted to go back to, in India we have Mother India. When we look at the map of India, we have a standing woman. She's not sitting, she's standing, and depending on how you see it or who creates that, she's standing. Most of it, her hair is loose, she's in a very active pose. She could either have elements of goddess Durga, she could either have a trident, she could have an AK-47, she could have, but she's not in a pacifist mode, she is in an active mode. And she spans, because the map of India is like an ice cream cone, more or less. It comes down and then it maps out. So she occupies from north to south, you know, she's there. So Mother India, in that image for us, Bharat Mata, and you have Father Germany, right? Is Germany, but we have Mother India, and then of course the famous movie Mother India, where this all-sacrificing mother will do anything for her sons.
Yeah, there is Vaterland, you just said. It's
Fatherland, no?
But it's not like an image that you recreate and you have
Right.
it in mind in Germany.
We actually have a mother, when you say India and we say Mother India, there could be many different evocations for the Indian people here. But I think that image of the map of India, and especially because we've celebrated 50 years and since 75 years, we've had so many different iterations of it. But I don't think we have a dance pose for a mother. No, I don't think we have a dance pose for Mother India. And our goddesses like Mahalakshmi and Saraswati, they are beautiful and sort of domestic, but you don't see them as mothers. You only see Parvati as a mother, as the mother of Ganesha and the mother of Kartikeya. And even in Durga Puja in Calcutta, after she finishes her 10-day battle with the dark forces, she's led out in a final immersion procession as a mother with her two sons. Mm-hmm. So she comes and fulfills her role in restoring the balance of the earth with a terribly bloody battle of 10 days, during which she gets drunk and disheveled. She is proposed to by her opponent, saying, "You're so beautiful, I won't fight you, just come marry me." Then she finally finishes what she has to do, but then she's celebrated as a mother. Mm-hmm. And immersed in the ocean until we say come back again. So I think that, I think I'll stop there and we can go on to other things. Yeah.
But that means in dance you don't have a pose if you want the audience to understand that you're depicting the mother. So basically that's also...
That's it. Or a veil if you want to do this and you're feeding your child, like this, you know. So this. So we don't actually have like a pose of, this would be the mother, you know, carrying a child, rocking a child, you know, this normal everyday things, doing this to a child, feeding a child, or maybe putting her on the lap, crossing your legs and rocking the child to sleep. So, but that's also what everyday women do. My grandmother, you know, our lives are so performative, and as people we're so expressive. So I wouldn't think of it even as a dance pose.
Could someone, next slide? Because what Mother Mary is, usually, at least in her medieval depiction, is very peaceful, very much in love with her child. But I am assuming that there are other emotions connected to motherhood as well. And I looked at a few images I also actually did think of this Mother India,
Yes.
because I find it very interesting that there is no child in this iconic picture, because she is the Mother India, so it's like, again, the mother of an idea. And I very much wanted to introduce this version. Do you recognize who that is supposed to be? Here the... This is also Mother Mary. That's Mother Mary hitting baby Jesus.
Spanking him.
And very important, the painting is called Mother Jesus hitting baby Jesus with 3 witnesses. So
okay.
part of the crime is that not just it's done, but it's done when others can see it. And this picture was banned by the Catholic Church because they said, no way is there anything but pure love between mother and especially baby Jesus. And I found it interesting because I feel some emotions of motherhood might be missing in our visual vocabulary. Do you have any emotions you would say this needs to become part of our visual vocabulary of motherhood in the arts?
I think there are many depictions. So when I went to the government museum here in Chennai, there is one bronze sculpture like this big, and there's a starving mother with her, I think, son, a starving child. So I think there are some artists who tried to depict all the struggle you have with being a mother or a parent. And it's nice that you took care to Kollwitz, for example. Because she's also showing the struggle you have, or you can have. If you're in a privileged situation, you don't have the struggle as much as if you're a poor person. So there are so many situations, and I think that artists try to depict every situation and every struggle, because nothing is more boring than a very happy, beautiful family. Yeah.
And yet it's a very popular motive.
Yes.
Perfectly happy Biedermeier.
But then it's more advertisement, I guess.
Yes. Now that in Mother India, if people remember, Nargis as the mother shoots her son because he becomes this dacoit, or robber, bandit. So right? So of the 2 sons, so it's that decision that a mother takes, that I'm going to make the world, one less bad person, or we talk of a bad seed, right? We talk of a bad seed. So that happened there, and also we have Greek examples of a Medea, the Native American myth of the world itself being created by a female spider, from which she spins it from her body, but she can take it back. And I remember Rabindranath Tagore's film, his poem where he talks, it's called Prithvi, the earth. He talks of the earth as a mother, but he says people think of you as nurturing and giving and nourishing, but I see the other side of you. You can actually, you may think that everybody is your children, but you can take away life like this. So you really have a double-edged sword of cruelty as well. You can give life, but you can take away life.
Do you both feel that there is enough variety already in our understanding of the mother?
We have stories of Yashoda and Krishna. You're talking of Mary spanking Jesus. We never disallow, Yashoda spanking Krishna, twisting his ear, tying him up with a rope. He's so mischievous. So, and we continue to, tell these stories even as lullabies or bedtime stories to our children, and we dance them. So we don't, that hasn't been banned. That has not been banned. So we have that. We have stories of Ganesha. I think we don't have the kind of, that kind of Catholic Church's decision as this is the way things will be. Maybe there are shades of it happening now in India, where at least a prince and a princess, when the poet Valmiki wrote of Prince Rama and Prince Sita, have now become gods and goddesses and fairly untouchable. But yeah, I think narratives in India continue to morph and change, especially the equation between mother and child.
Yeah. I'm just right now thinking of, there's another picture of a mother, the stepmother. And that's like the total opposite of what the perfect mother should look like. I'm a stepmother, so I have a second daughter. She's from a different mother, but she feels nothing like my stepchild. And it's really mean that there is the difference made by the society between the real mother and the stepmother. And so I would wish that this image of a stepmother, for example, would be more positive. Maybe we need to find another word for it, I don't know. Because I don't feel like this, what is Märchen of English?
Fairy tale.
A fairy tale stepmother.
Yes.
I'm totally not. So, yeah.
We have the popular image in ancient poetry of the foster mother, what we call in Tamil Sevilitai. So the foster mother sometimes is the voice of the heroine or the woman. So Tamil Sangam poetry has the figure of the what we call it the foster mother in terms of loose English translation, but she's the confidant that maybe the girl, the lovelorn girl doesn't want to tell her real mother, but she tells this other person. So she is quite a prominent figure in ancient Tamil poetry.
When I looked into this topic, I also found it interesting that often the moment a woman is holding a child, people assume it's the mother, which is also not necessarily the case, especially in Indian context, when you have like a joint family, it could be anyone holding this child. And yet we make this immediate association, it must be mother with child. And I was wondering, for you looking at art history, do you think it makes a difference if this version of motherhood is created, painted, danced by a man or women? Because I mean, the first few hundred years of art history that we have is men creating this perfect image of the happy mother with the beautiful, well-fed child. I mean, this is again Christianity. We have it's very new that women are as central in the art world that they can give their version. Do you think you could recognize if the picture is by a man or a woman?
That's an interesting point of view. I've always felt that in Indian sculpture, where the sculptor was invariably a man in the temples, that they would draw their fantasies, because for women's breasts to be so large and their waist to be so thin, they would topple over. I'm so thin, and the hips. I mean, this is definitely a male fantasy, I would think. Yeah, and it could only have been sculpted by a man, because the proportions were just not attainable except by now operations and enhancements. So I would say in sculpture, I would definitely know that this is a man's point of view. Also, I think in our poetry, the poetry that we dance, that the traditional repertoire, it is written by men who imagine themselves to be women. So it's a man writing in the feminine tense, and the man is writing about a love-lorn, love-sick woman who's pining for her beloved. So you have these motifs that men have put into a woman's mind screen or world of I'm so lovesick that I have lost taste for food, and so my bangles fall off my hand, I'm getting so thin, the belt is slipping off my waist, nothing tastes good anymore, I pine, I can't sleep, my skin has become pale, and these are the ways in which a lovesick woman is described, and always by male poets. So I would think that, wishful thinking. I think women are quite capable of being on their own and happy. But,
yes.
Yeah. So.
Can we have a loud yes to that, please?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of pictures by men who show mothers, And most of them are more like documentary pictures or showing the giving, caring mother. I think you can see a difference in what is being created in the last few years. There are really strong mothers showing their bodies, being proud of themselves. So I would say maybe you can see the difference, but in the end I would wish that gender wouldn't play such a big role, and that it's more about being a parent, nurturing kids, and it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. So, yeah.
I actually, after our last conversation, I googled. I tried to find fathers and children because we spoke about it. Mother and son is like a genre. Of
Yes,
mother and
yes,
child.
mother and child, yeah.
There is no parallel.
Yeah.
There are a few pictures, of course, and you have self-portraits, but it's hard to find any visual for that, which I also think it's also unfair to men who might be nurturing and have an intense relationship with their children, and yet they are left out of iconography when it comes to children. Speaking of, could we have, because we thought one, I should probably tell from who all those pictures are, no? So sorry. Or does anyone, should we do the art quiz? It's from Alice Neal, Portrait of a Mother-to-Be.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's celebrated for an honest depiction of what it means, how your body changes, which is often a phase that is left out of the romantic storytelling. Yes. Somehow you become pregnant and then there's a child. The in between is often not happening in the storytelling. So this is like another approach, and I also wanted to ask you, because I imagine in the world of dance, where your body is your main instrument in another way than in other art forms. I mean, this whole change of body and being a mother who's dancing, how do people react to that, or how did you have to react to that?
Well, it's one thing is that, say, the form of Bharatanatyam, for instance, where you have a lot of stamping, yeah? So if you think of the first trimester as being the very important trimester, where sometimes things could go wrong, and so you're always advised to be careful in the first trimester. So obviously the stamping in Bharatanatyam and all that is not advised. However, my yoga teacher, had me do yoga throughout till my 8th, 9th month. Definitely your body changes, your center of gravity changes, yeah. And while you can, and swimming is wonderful during pregnancy. I don't think I said I'm going to prove that I can dance during pregnancy. I didn't, because I said I want to enjoy the pregnancy without trying to force myself to do something just to prove something. So I felt very different for my daughter and my son. But as a dancer, I think I didn't perform. I watched more. I was far more alive and interested, and I had lots more energy. I went out more. I traveled. I would always get sick when I flew on a flight. But I think my antenna was all up. I could remember things better. My memory was great. Oh, my hair and skin were fabulous at that time. But, I'm just saying that there were other, for me, what I felt were perks. That as a woman and as a creative person, I really enjoyed that time by not dancing. And I was in my 20s when I had my daughter. So my body sprung back very quickly without, I don't know if any of you know the traditional Indian way of how they shrink the stomach. Does anybody know? Yeah, so you know. So they rub the oil, they rub the turmeric, they rub it on that. They make you stand at a certain level and they throw hot water on your belly. It hurts, but that was the grandmother's way of shrinking the uterus and shrinking the stomach.
But why did they do it?
No, look, that's the way you get back, because in those days women were then had to get back to do housework. They were then, and that would be, that would be one of the ways. I didn't have to do any of that. But yeah, so as a dancer, I can say, to answer your question, I didn't perform, but I felt creative in so many other ways that I didn't experience before that. But I got back to dancing very quickly though. Yeah, soon after. But it takes 16 to 18 months, I think, to get back if you want on stage.
We have one more picture of an artwork that you recommended, which I find very interesting. It's called In Balance, but maybe you can speak about it more, because it's also the idea of finding a balance between family life and being an artist, and also, in my interpretation, creating place for being a mother in the art. So the theme of being a mother, and what does that mean, the mental load, all of that, and actually not trying to separate the mother from the artist, but kind of using the motherhood as well as a creative drive. But maybe you could...
Yeah, so this artwork is by Courtney Castle, a US-American artist. I really love her work. And it's so she's here sitting with her daughter in an exhibition space, and it started when she was really small. So it developed over the years. And she always tried to be in balance with her daughter. So when the girl was little, there was more and more stuff so that they were in balance. And as she gets older, there's less stuff. And so the whole performance changes over the years. And I think right now she's nearly the same weight as her mother. So there's no stuff anymore, and they are on eye level without having to take the whole children's room onto the what is it called in English? Seesaw. Yeah.
Seesaw.
So I really love that work, because she's working together with her child. She's not only using her, she's always asking her if she wants to be part of the performance, and she could say no whenever she wants to, and she wouldn't never force her daughter to perform with her. So I think it's a very on eye level partnership, and I really love this work.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
One last topic I wanted to touch, because before we look at technicalities of motherhood and being an artist, is really the question of female solidarity that you bring up in your work. Because you said in the beginning, when you looked for role models, that already wasn't easy, and then you realized that very famous artists publicly take the stand to say, if you want to be a genius artist, don't ever waste any energy on children. Interestingly, just children, and no one is saying no love affair, no nothing else.
It's just children.
Just don't have children. How do you, do you feel this has changed a bit? Do you feel, because there are lots of female collectives right now, also some are part of the exhibition that we're showing, so do you think there has been a turn, and what can be done for other women as well to support women?
I think there has changed a lot. At least in Europe, I experienced a big wave of solidarity. So there are many grassroots organizations and women coming together and try to change things. They try to get scholarships done so that parents can be able to have some residencies. So I think also that more women come in powerful positions, as maybe you, So you will tell a different story than a 60-year-old man, and so things will change slowly, but they will change, and I can feel it and experience it. And the funny thing is that with my work, Ada Versus, with my video work, I thought it was an outing, and it was nothing like it. So it was my career boost in the end. It took me to India, and I'm very happy about it. I mean, I would have thought when I made this video that something like that could happen, and I experienced an art world which is very embracing and welcoming and full of solidarity, and I would have never noticed this art scene, this side of the art scene, when I wouldn't have become a mother.
What about you? Did you feel you were in general supported by other female artists? Was there a big understanding for maybe a changed schedule that was caused by children, or did you feel you kind of had to hide the family life in order to be?
No, never. I think there's an older generation before me and maybe one before, artists, maybe in the other arts, but certainly in dance, who made a conscious decision either not to be married and so they're not to have children, so that they could be, as they say, married to their art or married to their dance. And they wore it like a badge of honor. And then there was my generation, who experienced everything with life, and some of us got married, had children, became single as life happens. And in that, I didn't feel that kind of solidarity, I cannot say from my dance colleagues, but I felt solidarity from within my colleagues from like my school friends, my college friends, who were not necessarily artists, but who were also mothers. I felt more camaraderie and more support. Of course, also an amazing family. But now I find the next generation, like my daughter's generation, there are people who either choose to be single, or they get married and choose not to have children, or they have what they call everything. They have a partner, they have children, and they continue to be artists. So I'm seeing a variety now. I'm not seeing anybody who says, you know, my art will suffer if I'm a mother, or my art will suffer if I have children, even though I'm married. So I think there is, as you say, it's changing. It's changed a lot. I think the younger generation wants to experience everything. They don't want to deny themselves any experience.
I think so too, but still there are the stories that women who are represented by galleries would never say that they are pregnant, or get advised by also female gallerists to not tell that they're pregnant. And a friend of mine who got pregnant with her second child, she's my age, she was dropped by a gallery because she got pregnant. Like, it's still happening. So there's a lot of work to do, and we can't just relax. We have to stay on focus.
In dance, you can't hide pregnancy.
That's the thing.
Yeah, you're pregnant, you have a baby, you're a dancer, then you get back to dance, or you take a longer time to get back to dance. Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting question. Looking at the theme, I mean, some of the problems or the challenges are similar. If you have a high-profile job and you're a 30-year-old woman, it's very likely that the board will be like, is that a safe option? She might have children soon. Let's go for someone else. So I mean, I don't think that's an art thing. That's unfortunately a general problem, I would say. Also, some other themes I read about. I mean, childcare, which in Germany you need an infrastructure for, because you're most likely not to live with your family. So I think lots of female artists share problems of working women in general.
Yeah.
Do you think there are some specific problems that are so unique to the art world that they need to be looked at differently?
I think it's not that different to other working women, but the thing is that in the art world everything seems so liberal and open and very futuristic and utopian, and so when they have shows, they try and want to value these topics and want to be like very forward thinking, but in the back they are not. And that's like, maybe in different jobs it's more honest. Yeah, you know what you get and you can handle it, but I don't know. But I think it's not that different. The reaction to my artwork from other women was like, from lawyers to doctors, the same. They said, I had the same experience. So.
Excuse me, I
Yes.
have a question. Why would a gallery drop an artist because she's pregnant?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I understand. I don't get it either. Jeff Koons was never asked, I guess. How can he manage 8 children and still be a great artist? So if you take a look at that's maybe something we should have shown. There's a really good work by Saskia Beiler, who made a list of the top 10 artists having children, and it's like they have together 32 children, the top 10 male artists of the art world. And the top 10 female artists of the art world have like, I think, 3 children or 5.
Wow.
So you can see it's still a struggle and the numbers are real, and still there's this belief that when you are a mother, you can't be that energetic about your art anymore. And they forget that maybe things have changed and you're able. I mean, I have a great partner. He's able to take care of my child right now in Germany. So I was able to fly, and we have a partnership on eye level, and it would never be a discussion if I can leave this poor child. And no, everything is fine. But still people think it's not possible that you can make art still when you're a mother. So it's a very...
You don't have the same level of dedication which would be required from
maybe,
artists themselves.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's both. I think it's partly the male genius cult.
Yes.
This idea of all the overpowering, it's only about art. But I also think, because this is why I brought it up, I think it's the same in other jobs.
Yeah.
You assume that if the child is sick, it's going to be the mother who stays home. You assume
Always.
that if it's the first day of school, your artist is not going to be available for the show.
Correct.
You just assume that you don't have the 100% attention anymore that you feel you deserve, because you have to split it. And interestingly, you assume that with a male artist who has an amount of children, that is not the case.
Yeah.
They never need to drop the
Anything.
brush if the child has high fever, because there's a mother who can
It's the
take care of it.
opposite, that it's expected that you have children as a man to be like a complete person, and it would never somehow, your art would never change a bit. And people think when you become a mother, your art will change, but in the end, okay, I made this work with Ada, but my whole work is about power structures. So I see it in a tradition in my work. It's not like now I'm focusing on mothers. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many ideas came out of this, but I think that I don't think my art has changed before and after motherhood. I think my time, I have been more conscious about the time I spend, especially when they were much younger, but I had an amazing multi-generational support system. So they had a great-grandmother, a grandmother, and a mother, in that, very, very fortunate. I think because of the time, as an artist, we don't switch on and off. Our mind at one level is always there, like a blotting paper, absorbing ideas. But there's one part, at least I can say, of my mind where my children are there, It's not that they ever sort of escape. There's one part of my mind or my brain or my emotional space where I am a mother and I'm saying, okay, has this happened? Maybe that hasn't happened. I need to call this person. And it's not like I'm not a helicopter mom. I don't speak to them every day. But I think that if you become a mother, at least for me, there's one part. It might be dormant, but it's there. They have occupied that space. But that doesn't mean that they have occupied a space, but the rest of the space is being used at optimum. That's how I feel. Yeah. And I also feel that, the word labor, we have to look at it. We look at the labor of women, but giving birth is labor. I mean, why do we use the word labor, The whole passage of that newborn going through the birth canal, and we ask how was the labor? As the labor, was it easy? Was it difficult? And it is that kind of, we never stop to think of this miracle of what a woman creates from within, and that very act of that child being born. I come from a generation where the men were not supposed to be anywhere near that birth area. So Indian men, like in all the films, pacing outside and waiting for the first cry of the baby, and very typical, exactly. But in the delivery were my 2 girlfriends. because both my children were born in New York and I had my two best girlfriends with me holding my hand. And you won't believe it, for my second child, my gynecologist was an Indian doctor. And you know what she said? She said, "You are not supposed to make a sound. Indian women don't cry when giving birth." I said, "God damn it, it hurts and I'm going to yell." So you know the conditioning of how it is. If an Indian gynecologist is telling you as you're giving birth and your body is going through all those things in labor, you're supposed to just grin and bear it.
Okay, I've never heard that.
Well, I heard it. I heard it. And
The word labor is used only in English. In German, it's not.
okay. Yeah, we call it prasavam also. So yeah. But
Or Entbindung.
right.
Act of cutting.
Yeah, okay, that, you know. Now, of course, the fathers are encouraged to be in the room and, you know, watch that messy thing bloodied with placenta and mucus come out. And
They often pass out. From what I've heard.
from what you've heard. But I'm just saying, I come from a generation where, you know, they were like banished. Yeah? So yeah, but can I just add, because we're at the CPB and its photography, I've been photographed by so many people over the years, but my best photographs have been by women. The best photograph that I keep using again and again when I send out headshots have been by women photographers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but both women photographers don't have children. Both those women photographers.
That's also okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying in terms of the topic.
Really generous to that.
In terms of the topic and everything, I just wanted to just bring that up. Yeah.
Maybe before we actually open the round, in case you have any questions, because I always feel it's nice to also say what can be done. We represent an institution, CPB represents an institution. There are institutional hurdles that are still there for mothers or for parents, actually, because they are also single fathers who might be artists, who might face the same issues. So if you would have to say, out of your active careers, like the one thing you would wish institutions could do differently, because I remember in our earlier conversation, you said, "Oh, Margari season is horrible because it clashes with the school calendar of my children.
Yeah.
During exam time, I cannot focus on December season," which is something that would have never in my life struck me, that this might be a collision of timetables. So, I mean, it can be something very pragmatic or something that you say, it's not so difficult to change, and yet, for me as an artist, that would make a huge difference if institutions would be more open to this.
I think care is the main topic. Taking care of who you want to invite and asking what they need. It's not only parents that they have special needs. You could be disabled or have, I don't know what, like issues. So asking what do you need and be open for an honest discussion. And so to be like very basic, try to have appointments in the morning, not in the afternoon, like something like that. It's quite simple. So because I hate to say, "Oh, at 4 o'clock I have to get my girl." I'm sorry.
Pick them up from,
it's kind of annoying. I do it that way, and also my partner, he always says after 4 there is no appointment time anymore. So something simple as this, but I think that's like caring about each other and asking what do you need. Yeah.
I would do something quite different because we're in Chennai and there is the Goethe and the CPB. You know, we're talking of Margari, and we'd look at dancers and they only see them on stage after they finish getting dressed up and everything. I'd love to have a photo series of people, not even in the green room, but in rehearsal, in the sweatiness of it, in the process of creating things that are not terribly photoshopped and touched up, but actually looking at the vulnerability of an artist in creation, you know, of a dancer in creation, where the practice dress is not perfect and not coordinated, and dancers' feet are some of the most ugliest feet. Okay, you know that they're scarred and they've got all marks. I mean, they could really be some really brilliant moments captured, because of course the dancers have to be willing to give themselves to it. But I think that would be so interesting, because we never see in the Indian dance context the vulnerability of what it takes to be in that creative moment. We always see the finished product where she's supposed to be, she's supposed to be equal to God, goddess, some divine persona. And I'd love to peel those layers out and see something else. We see it perhaps more in contemporary dance, but in the context of Chennai and this being sort of almost a global seat of Bharatanatyam in a sense, or classical dance, I would love to see that other side of it.
That might be an interesting thought as well for other art forms, to focus on the process, to generate more understanding of what all is behind, and to create this awareness of timings and timetables and long-term engagement.
Or children watching their mothers rehearsal even.
Tomorrow in the workshop I will introduce to my work, and I will also show the process of Ada versus, because that's something that is not seen. I think that's a really good point, to don't focus on the end product, but more on the process.
Are there any questions?
Yes, please.
Either, or you want to comment on the topic?
May I say something? It's really lovely that there are so many men in the audience. I congratulate you very much, because I had a lot of talks about motherhood in Germany or in Europe, and most of the time it's 80% or 99% women joining such a topic, so I'm very impressed.
So do all these brave men want to add something to the conversation? Now that the spotlight is on you. How about the brave women in this room?
I just have two women sitting here. A very interesting topic, about more or less, to give birth of a baby or something like that. And woman is one part is a dancer, one part is an artist. So I must say, artists maybe have to giving birth of a baby is like a kind of a celebration. For me, when we both, Helen and me, have a first baby, then we had, celebrate like 9 months. Like she was painting, I was doing a lot of ceramics, bowls. So then I say the bowls coming from the kiln is like a mother womb. Like this. So being we can create a concept like that. So then she paints. Then suddenly, we have I went to New York in a art OB, one workshop. And I was discussing this thing, and suddenly one gallery, people want to have the exhibition in the gallery. Then he was exhibited, that time the baby was not born, Then we exhibit together with her painting and my ceramic balls, 1,000 ceramic balls. So sometimes, obviously for a woman it's a pain or something like that, but we all born from that pain, So also it's kind of a joy, like my lot of friends, they never want baby in their life because they are artists. Visual artists have baby. Because maybe Mithu Sen, I have a lot of good close friend of mine. So I always, they say, we don't have baby because we want our artist career. That depend upon, what kind of artist you are, what kind of, you want to be, do social life with art. A lot of photographers I have seen, they have children, a lot of artists they have children, social life, actors, of also women actors, they have children also, they are acting like that. simultaneously it is like a kind of a part of artwork, part of the life, I think so.
No, I don't know. I don't know if that's a comment. Yeah.
I came in rather late, so apologies for that. But I think the one thing that I've taken away from the conversation was what you said, Hannah, about these 4 liberal spaces that we get to inhabit in the artwork.
Mhm.
And how there is a sense of honesty, at least in the kind of industry where you're like, okay, we don't want to hire women for X, Y, Z reasons because they feel they do all of this. And here you on one end you're told that we need to celebrate motherhood and celebrate the feminine and celebrate all of this. And then on the other hand you get dropped because you get pregnant. So I think we have to have very honest conversations with ourselves as institutions as how we react to when we have people who need extra care or need basic human decency, let's not even call it extra care, within our own institutions. How are we funding women? I had this fantastic conversation with Hural Kasmi. She was in India, she's the director of the Sharjah Biennale. And she said, put your money where your mouth is. So if you want to support Palestine, buy Palestinian artists, right? What we need to do is, how do we look at ourselves? It's not a question, it's about self-reflection. How do we look at institutions we run? How do we look at ourselves, Cooke Institute, CPB, myself? How do we all look at ourselves and say, how do we react when it comes to women and empowering them in our own spaces rather than speaking about it on a broader level?
You heard it, buy art from women.
Yep.
Start collecting now.
They get more and more expensive next
Very good,
years.
very good.
Yeah.
Any last? Yes.
I just want to thank you. Thank you, Katharina, for this topic. Thank you for the European perspective, the Indian perspective. Javier, to comment on what you said, I'll give you a personal example. When my daughter was 7-year-old, I applied for a job as a director. And there was one man, one woman, and I didn't get the job. And they told me, they said, you know, your child's 7, she's going to be sick, you're not going to be available. And that's still happening nowadays. So I'm not surprised for the example about the art gallery. Usually they're not as honest as that, but it does happen on a regular basis. That's something we have to face. And as a woman, leading a cultural center, just like Katharina does, it's very important that we encourage women, that we have this conversation, and that we promote women too. I mean, of course we love men, but I think it's part of our, it's part of our mission, at least for some of us, to encourage those women, because it's not easy.
There was one last question in the back. There was.
I saw the recent artwork with your Instagram profile, and where a woman is carrying bull.
Yeah. The red flags, I made like huge flags with the white bull. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Being a layman, the only woman artist I knew was Frida Kahlo, and that your red flag artwork was very surreal. I instantly thought of how Frida Kahlo's surreal artwork is. So can you tell something about her, and have you got influenced by her work, inspired or something?
Oh, that's a long topic. Come to my workshop tomorrow. I will talk
Yeah.
about that too. No, I made big flags to encounter Picasso because I was invited by a museum in Germany. They have a big Picasso collection, and they wanted to have a feminist point of view on this collection. So I was free to do what I want. with this Picasso collection. And so I did, and I removed every Picasso picture and put them on one single wall. So all the rooms were empty and all the Picassos were hung from the ceiling to the bottom. And you could experience Picasso in a new way, and the room was empty for my work. And I put big flags with a woman, which could be me, and a white bull, and which is about a mythological story which also Picasso refers to. And he was very, very destructive and misogynist to his women he had, so he always used them for his art and didn't treat them very well. And it's like really bad. And I wanted to encounter, because he depicts himself as the Minotaurus. It's the bull, the half human, half bull. And he depicts himself as this Minotaurus sexually abusing a woman. And this woman is likely to be his lover at that time, who was still underage, like 17 or 18, Marie-Thérèse. And so we know about this whole story and still value his work and praise him and see him as a genius. And I thought, how can I, as a female artist right now, encounter Picasso and set a statement? So I created these huge flags where I'm handling the bull, like an Atlas or a Sisyphus, where I'm throwing him, pushing him up the hill, or what was it, a Heracles, where I So you're welcome to see it on my Instagram there or website. There's more pictures.
I would like to take this as a closing statement and to generalize it. Look at more art by women. Start by Hannah and Anita, and then discover, because there is fascinating art to be discovered. So that could be one of our positive to-do things after tonight. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.